Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Iron Element Gym. This is Mike, and today I want to talk about health markers and really just health in general and taking control of your own health. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to have a better understanding of what health markers you could be looking at and have an idea of what the numbers mean and what to do about them. There's a few things you can easily look at, and I want to guide you through that so you have a little more knowledge. I'm not a specialist in these things, but I do have a lot of knowledge in what to look for, and you can also take that and find out what actions you can take to maybe be proactive. So the first thing I want to talk about is general practitioners. GPs are very good for certain things. They can prescribe antibiotics when it's obvious, things like strep throat, you have the flu, you have other things, you need medication. Those are pretty obvious things that they can do and very effective. Where they're not experts are in blood panels. They're not experts in nutrition. They're not experts in diet. Actually, they know almost zero about nutrition and diet and exercise. They know almost nothing about that. And so really you need to take that on your own to really learn and understand the proper way to do that. But the health markers are another interesting thing. I'm going to lay out a few health markers that you can do that you should be looking at and that could cause issues down the line. Think of a health marker like somebody who smokes, right? If you pick up a cigarette today and smoke, are you going to drop dead? No, of course not. But we all know that smoking continuously over a period of time causes major issues, right? Most likely cancer and other major problems, right? And the same could be said for alcoholic drinking, right? If you have one drink, are you going to drop dead? No, of course not. But if you chronically drink all the time, and you do not give your body a break, are you going to have issues? Yeah, there's a good chance you could have issues. Okay. So what I want to do is show a few markers that you might not even feel today. You can't always go by how you feel, but these markers could be an indication of potential problems down the line. And you can get ahead of that now. That's what I want you to do. So the first marker I want you to look at is a very easy one to check, and it is blood pressure. That one is the easiest thing to check. So blood pressure, you can check it either. Every pharmacy pretty much has a blood pressure machine. You can walk in, relax for a couple of minutes, take some deep breaths, take 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then check your blood pressure, see where you're at. What I do is I actually walk into a pharmacy, I check my blood pressure right away, and then I sit for 5 minutes, I breathe deep, I relax, I check my blood pressure again. You really want your resting blood pressure. You don't want to be very active. Now, blood pressure is a thing that spikes. It goes up and down during the day. Obviously, when you're resting, blood pressure is the most optimal, right? Now, when you do a heavy workout, for example, your blood pressure is going to spike because you're really pushing that weight. You're pushing a lot of pressure through your vessels. But that doesn't mean it's bad, right? You're doing that knowing that the trade-off you're getting is going to be a better body, a better health. So you're okay to put your body under that strain temporarily. The issue comes in when your body is under duress continuously all the time. So for blood pressure, for example, there's two numbers. We all know there's two numbers, right? The typical 120 over 80, for example. Well, what do they mean, right? The systolic number is the top number, the 120 in this example. And what that does, it measures the pressure in your vessels when your blood pumps. So when your heart goes boom, then that pressure, that rush of blood, that's what it's measuring. It's measuring the pressure in your vessels at that time. And the second number, the diastolic number, is measuring the pressure in your vessels in between heartbeats. Okay? So as your heart gets ready to reload for another hit, that's when it's measuring when your heart's at rest, quote at rest, that's when it's measuring the pressure in your vessels at that time. So that's the basic breakdown of what blood pressure is and what those numbers mean. Now, if you have a chronic high blood pressure, meaning you never come down, then this is a marker that you might want to start looking into fixing this now. Because if you have high blood pressure today, are you going to drop dead? No. But over time, with enough of this continuous stress, it will cause problems to you. And they will cause big problems. You could have kidney issues is one of the big issues that comes from chronic high blood pressure. Then, your kidneys, it can't handle that pressure in the vessels, and then they don't clean the blood. The kidney is not a recoverative organ like the liver is. The liver, you can damage it and it can recover. The kidney does not. That's why people have to go on dialysis, because they have kidney issues. So you want to avoid that, obviously. You can have other issues, heart issue, cardiac issues, and other things like that as well. You can Google that. I'm not going to give you every result of a high blood pressure. But the idea is to see that marker in advance, to know, hang on a second, I kind of have chronic high blood pressure here. What can I do to help bring that down? And the more you know, the better equipped you are to handle that. Now, of course, you can do things like you can alter your diet, eat less ultra processed packaged foods. You can eat more healthy foods. You could exercise a lot more, drink a lot more water. There's a lot more you can do to help with your blood pressure marker before medication. So the idea here is when you find a marker that is not optimal or not where it should be, you want to hit every lever you can, pull every lever you can before you resort to the medication. Okay, so that might be a diet change, it might be an exercise change, it might be a stress reduction. Stress is a big factor. You might want to learn how to reduce stress, maybe via meditation. So there are a lot of things you can do first and should do first before resorting to a medication. Okay, so that's the first one, blood pressure. Very easy to know. You can even buy a blood pressure machine, portable machine at home. I have one. I check every once in a while to make sure I'm still within the normal range. And that's kind of how it's going to go. But you have to keep in mind that it does go up and down during the day. So if you get angry, if you get frustrated, if you get really anxious, your blood pressure is going to rise. But as long as it comes back down to that optimal or normal range, you're okay. Okay. Now, the next thing you should do is a blood panel. So if you haven't done a blood test in a long time, you should go to your doctor and you should tell them you want a full blood panel workup. And you want to tell them include a hormone panel in that, right? So you really want to check key markers in your blood. So I know doing a blood test is no fun. I understand. But you know what? It's a little prick. It's done. And it's for you to have this knowledge. And this will pay off big time. So of course, one of the things you're going to check in that, they're going to check lots of things. And a lot of the things will be perfectly fine. Hopefully, everything will be perfectly fine. But I want to touch on just a couple of key ones. One is the blood cell count, right? The total blood count in your blood. So you want to check your white blood cells, your red blood cells, your platelets. I'm not a blood expert, but they're going to check all these things, right? You want to make sure, for example, your red blood cell count isn't too low, that you're not anemic, that you're maybe lacking iron. If you're a woman, a lot of people have a low red blood cell count, but some guys have a high red blood cell count. And there are ways to mitigate that through donating blood, for example. So you want to make sure that those numbers are within an optimal range, okay? They're going to give you everything else. They're going to give you your blood sugar level, which you should probably kind of know. If you're not a type 2 diabetic, you're probably pretty good. You're going to get things like electrolytes and all these other things. But the blood cell, the total blood count is important to know there. Another good one is the cholesterol. Now, I'm going to talk about my personal experience with this. It's very interesting. So when I went to do a blood panel, this was years ago, I had really, really high cholesterol. My LDL was through the roof. My doctor was really worried I was going to have a stroke. But I was healthy. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I exercised. I ate pretty well. I eat a little better now, but even then I was eating pretty good. So I was really perplexed. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So my doctor wanted to put me on 20 milligrams Lipitor. So at that time, I didn't have the same knowledge I have now, okay? So what I did is I said, sure, and this is a GP. So this is a good example of a GP not really knowing what they're doing. So actually, they wanted to put me on Lipitor first, and I said no. I said, I'm going to go vegan, and I'm going to try to reduce my numbers myself. So I went full vegan for about 5 months. And I mean full vegan. I was fully in. And then after 5 months, I got another panel. Turns out my cholesterol was still high. Wasn't quite as high, but I didn't move the needle much. not to the safe point. So now I kind of thought to myself, I ran out of options here. I eat well, I exercise all the time, I'm generally very healthy. Uh, it doesn't make any sense. I don't smoke, I don't drink. What am I doing here? And so I didn't think I had any options, so I went to 20 milligrams Lipitor. I just followed doctor's orders. I didn't know anything about cholesterol medicine at that time. So I took that, and I noticed that I had unbelievable pain in my body, aching. You wouldn't even believe. After a couple of weeks, I had trouble walking just to get up and walk. Working out was almost impossible. I couldn't do any reasonable weight. I could barely walk. So I started to do my research. I looked at studies. I looked at people's accounts. I looked at what are the benefits, risks, what should I be doing here? So what I found out is most people in the studies had benefits from only 5 milligrams of Crestor, which is another type of cholesterol medication. And they said because Crestor reacts differently in the body, you get less aches, and it's only 5 milligrams, which is the lowest dose possible. Remember, whenever you take a medication, you want to take the lowest dose possible for the maximum result. Okay? So I went to my doctor and I said, I can't do the 20 milligrams Lipitor. Put me on 5 milligrams Crestor. That's what I want to do. And she told me it won't do anything. 5 is not enough. It won't do anything. I said, I'll tell you what, let's do 3 months and then we'll do another test and then we'll see where we go. So I had her agree on that. This is based on all the studies that I researched. So after 3 months went by, I went on 5 milligrams. This is years ago, about 2 years ago now. I went on 5 milligrams Crestor. After 3 months, we did my panel again. My cholesterol numbers were perfect. She couldn't believe that only 5 milligrams Crestor did the job. This is an example where I had to take my own health into my hands and do what I pretty much knew was the right thing to do. And ever since then, I keep getting tested, and my cholesterol numbers always inbound. So I don't have to raise my dosage. I have the minimum amount of dosage for the maximum effect. And now I found out that it's more of a genetic issue. My parents both are on medication. They have chronic high cholesterol. It's something I have to deal with. But I can keep it at bay with the very minimum dose. So that's an important marker for you to know, of course. Cholesterol is a big one. And just to note, the cholesterol on paper is not the same cholesterol that is in foods. So removing the cholesterol in foods does not affect your blood work. Cholesterol in your blood is caused by saturated fats. So if you want to reduce your cholesterol and tempt it through a diet, lower your saturated fats, lower your ultra-processed packaged food intake, up your exercise, typical stuff, do not smoke, do not drink, and you can make a change there. You don't have to go on medication, okay? So cholesterol in your blood is not the same as cholesterol in food, guys. Don't make that mistake. Another big marker is now with the hormones. So I told you in the beginning, ask for a hormone workup. And most doctors have no clue what this is. They are not endocrinologists. They are not urologists. They have zero idea what this even is. They know what testosterone is. They don't know how it reacts in the body. They don't know the difference between available and total test. They don't know what the sex-binding globulin hormone is. They don't know anything. So all you're asking from them is the script to do the blood panel. When they call you back, ignore everything they told you and just ask for the numbers. Okay? I don't care what they recommend to you. You want to take that to a professional. Okay? They're going to give you your total testosterone, your available testosterone, your sex-binding globulin hormone. They're going to give you your estrogen levels. They're going to give you all these things. Estradiol. So this is good. So what you want to do is you want to take these numbers and go to a professional. I go to a urologist and I said, here are my numbers. And he says, okay, this is what you need to do. Or this is what you could do. Now, your hormones might be perfectly fine, but it is a marker that you could have other issues, or that you might, not even issues, you might want to correct. I'm on testosterone replacement therapy. I have a different video sharing my experience. So I'm not going to go into my experience with that. But when I got my panel back, it showed my testosterone really, really low. And I have that corrected now through TRT. And you can look at my TRT video to see what it is. But All that to say that because I took these things into my own hands, because I took the knowledge, I spent the time to look at studies, look at other people's experiences, watch videos, listen to medical podcasts or other podcasts that helped me, for example. I was able to accrue that knowledge and be better equipped when I do get a test to know what I'm looking at and what I'm talking about. Okay. So now when I go to my doctor, I don't go with a blank stare saying, what do I do? I go to my doctor with a plan and I say, here are the numbers. Here's what I think we need to do. And they usually agree with me. They say, yeah, that's a good plan. Let's do it. And they just execute. Doctors are fine at executing. Here's your script, done. Here's this, done. That's what they're good at. You have to take that power, that health power into your own hands and understand what it means because it's your own body. You need to be accountable for it, right? You need to be accountable for your own health. And even though the doctor has your best interest in mind, they do not have that knowledge in mind. They do not have that knowledge to help you all the time. They will take guesses, but they have no idea. Okay? Especially when it comes to fitness and exercise and, proper nutrition, right? So that's the podcast today. That's the video today, not a podcast. I want you to think about taking those key markers and understanding what they mean, getting the workup done, getting the numbers. Once you have the numbers, you can research and you can find out what's good, what's bad, what are my options. And that just opens you up to different options, okay? And when you do that, you feel much more empowered in your own health. Then you're less worried about what's happening. Where am I going to go? How am I going to fix things? You kind of feel in a little bit of control. I know control is a bit of an illusion. No one's in control ultimately, but you can control where you're going to a certain point. Like I have with my cholesterol, with my testosterone, you can control certain elements and that makes you feel better. You feel like you have a better life going forward and more power going forward. Okay. So that's it for today. Everybody stay healthy. I hope you check those markers. And if you, comment below, follow. And if you have a comment that you have a question, please drop it. I'll be glad to help anybody I can. All right. So until next time, keep lifting.